Welcome to the third mini episode of Are You Quizzing Me? The subject of today's mini episode is the fascinating life of Biju Patnaik. Bijayananda Patnaik, affectionately called Biju Patnaik, was born in Cuttack in the state of Odisha, India, on March 5th, 1916. He was half Odia and half Bengali. His mother, Ashalata Devi, was a Bengali, while his father, Lakshmi Narayan, was an Odia. In school, he was described as a terror, often caned for mischief. In 1932, at the age of 16, he embarked on an adventurous journey on a bicycle and pedaled all the way from Cuttack in Odisha to Peshawar in Pakistan, a distance of 4,500 miles. He was accompanied by two of his friends Amar and Brahmabar on a Visit India mission, spreading the message of humanity. He loved sports and was an avid bridge player. While studying in Ravenshaw Collegiate School, he was known for his love of games, sport, and adventures. He was the key player in his college football team that won the inter-school championship for 3 years. When he was 18, he took to flying at the Delhi Flying Club and was soon grounded for a year after he crashed 6 planes doing low-flying stunts on tiger moths to, quote, show off to the girls. In 1913, he married Gyanvati Sethi, a Punjabi, in a typically flamboyant ceremony. His marriage party arrived with a fleet of tiger moth planes which flew in formation over the train which carried the young couple to their honeymoon. He flew with private airlines, but at the start of the Second World War, he joined the Royal Indian Air Force. During the Second World War, he performed some stirring feats and was shot down twice. When Japan entered the war in 1941, he evacuated British families from the advancing invaders in Rangoon. He also dropped arms and supplies to Chinese troops fighting the Japanese and later to the Soviet army struggling against Hitler's onslaught near Stalingrad. When he was 13, Biju had met and come under the spell of Mahatma Gandhi. In the war, he sought to satisfy both of his strongly held beliefs, the need to defeat the Axis powers and to give India independence. While flying over Indian soldiers under British command, he dropped bags of Gandhi's Quit India leaflets to them. While on leave, he ferried independence leaders to secret meetings with their supporters. However, this didn't last long, and in 1943 he was arrested and jailed until 1946. Meanwhile, over in Indonesia, on August 17, 1945, Indonesia first declared freedom from the Dutch after 2 centuries of colonization, with Ahmed Sukarno becoming the first president of the country and Prime Minister Sultan Syariar forming its first independent government. The Dutch attempted to recolonize the country after the exit of the Japanese forces that had temporarily occupied Indonesia during World War II. On October 1st, 1945, the Dutch government announced that it would not negotiate with Sukarno over Indonesia's independence, and the next day, the Dutch government deployed its troops. Over the next few months, the Indonesian People's Army declared war against occupying British and Dutch troops. On July 21st, 1947, Dutch forces started a police action, imprisoning several leaders in Java and Kalimantan. They retook Jakarta, pushing the Indonesian leaders like Prime Minister Sultan Syariar and Vice President Muhammad Hatta to the Yogyakarta region of central Java. Shortly thereafter, Biju Patnaik receives a phone call. At the other end of the line is Jawaharlal Nehru, who in a month would become the first Prime Minister of independent India, but at the time was putting the final touches to the transfer of power from the British. He had an extraordinary request to ask of Patnaik. He asked Patnaik, who had in the past been involved in rescue operations in Rangoon, to evacuate Indonesian Prime Minister Sultan Syariar and Vice President Muhammad Hatta from Jakarta. He acquiesced, and soon, leaving their infant son at home, Biju Patnaik and his wife Gyanvati, yes, she was also a pilot, in fact, she was the first Indian woman to hold a pilot's license. They flew to Java, dodging the Dutch guns, entered Indonesian airspace and landed on an improvised airstrip near Jakarta. Using leftover fuel from abandoned Japanese military dumps, Patnaik took off with Syariar and Hatta for a secret meeting with Nehru at Delhi, reaching India via Singapore on 24 July 1947. For this act of bravery, Patnaik was given honorary citizenship in Indonesia and awarded the Bhumiputra, the highest Indonesian award rarely granted to a foreigner. In 1995, when Indonesia was celebrating its 50th Independence Day, Biju Patnaik was awarded the highest national award, the Bintang Jasa Utama. Going back to our stories, soon afterwards, Patnaik took to the skies once again, flying Indian troops into Kashmir to fight Pathan guerrilla fighters from Pakistan's northwest frontier province, who had raided Kashmir and forcibly occupied a third of the principality. He also carried out scores of civilians from Kashmir's summer capital, Srinagar. Penniless after independence, Patnaik set about establishing an industrial empire which eventually comprised iron ore and manganese mines, steel and textile mills, and an airline. He flourished and then one day sold it all and joined politics to become the chief minister of Odisha in 1961. 2 years after becoming the chief minister, he resigned in response to the Kamraj plan, which called for voluntary resignations of high-level national and state officials in order to devote their efforts to rebuilding the Congress party at the grassroots level following India's defeat in the border war with China. His unconventional ways and disdain for red tape had already led to a spate of corruption allegations, and this resulted in his party getting wiped out in the 1967 elections. 6 months later, however, he won the Rajnagar by-election. Trouble continued to dog him. The Jana Congress Swatantra Party coalition set up an inquiry commission against him. He was largely cleared, being indicted merely for some administrative improprieties. His honeymoon with the Congress, however, ended in 1969 and was inevitably provoked by a controversy. When Indira Gandhi, whom Biju called Indu, objected to his giving a Rajya Sabha ticket to his tribal minister T. Sangma, he typically ignored her and quit the party. He then formed the Utkal Congress, which merged the Janata Party in 1977 after enjoying a stint of power in Orissa jointly with the Swatantra Party. During the emergency, he joined hands with the Socialists and was jailed. Later, when the Janata Party came to power, he became the Union Steel and Mines Minister. But the maverick in him remained alive. He openly supported Sanjay Gandhi's Maruti project. Later, when the Janata Party split, he went along with Charan Singh, joined forces with Karpuri Thakur, and finally with the Janata Dal to return in 1990 as Chief Minister, a post he served until 1995. When he died, his coffin was wrapped in the national flags of 3 countries, India, Russia, and Indonesia. A very unique honor for a very unique man.